It's going to be a fun one here. We're just less than a minute or so away from the first attack. Team Queso versus Cosmo. This is going to be an elimination match. I believe the first two matches we're watching are going to be elimination matches before we jump back into the upper bracket finals. So right away, pressure is on with these teams. We're going to see who's going to be moving on, who's going to be going home. Will bus Wi-Fi come into play? You're going to have to stay tuned to find out.
Yeah, I really hope we don't get that spinning wheel of death today. However, let's take a quick look at the predictions. You and Twitch Legs are looking like you're voting for the same. So it looks like you and Twitch are one team, and I've got YouTube backing me up here. So it is about a 50-50 here on who we think is going to be victorious after this. We'll see what happens after the first few attacks and see if that will already be swaying the match in a specific direction. But we are already in, and Team Queso is up with the first attack, and we're bringing in dragons to bring in the heat already, and I spy a clone spell.
Clone spell going to make things really fun. Ooh, look at that giant arrow right through the middle of the base. I think it picked up the upper air sweeper. Ooh, also the magic mirror on the queen. Fun to see that. 3 archer queens in behind that ice golem and all the dragons from the northwest side of the base. Not wasting any time at all. The first attackers of the match always have to prioritize speed right now in this meta because you don't know if the other team's going to be able to hit a perfect war or not.
Yeah, we did have some ties yesterday that did depend on how quick that these attacks were, but for the most part, it seemed like maybe the pressure of having to do these attacks quickly was affecting them. However, Rami's looking pretty good. The Blimp managed to secure the Town Hall already, which means these dragons, for the most part, should hopefully avoid that Giga Poison. They're standing pretty strong as they make their way through. They will be taking a lot of damage here in the center with these multi-infernos and the Archer Towers, and so many traps are surfacing there. But these heroes, they still have quite a lot of power on them. They have so many hit points still left. We've got the king still clearing around the outside. Royal Champion with the queen stuck on those walls on the right. But this is looking pretty promising already.
So many dragons staying alive through the core of the base. The Royal Champion, of course, with the Spirit Fox. Best pet combo with her in the game. All the defenses are dead. And Rami going to start off this match hot with a 3-star. He is showing off his phone, getting it done. And I didn't see the exact time. Was it under 90 seconds?
Yeah, it was close. It was nearing that 90 seconds, 1 minute 30 mark. It might have actually been just below it, which is actually a very good start for them, which means they'll be setting the pace as well through this match because whatever they do, if they're tripling and they're tripling fast, their opponents will have to match that.
Yeah, and some people think that this meta may be a little wonky with such a pressure for speed, but part of me also kind of really likes it, at least for the early stages of the match, because one team hits a 1 minute 26 triple, as you see Team Queso got here, and now there's the mental game start with the other team. The first attacker is like, well, I got to beat a minute 26, and it starts to really change the way they think about their attack, and part of me finds it a little bit enjoyable.
Yeah, it is crazy to me. We mentioned this many times yesterday, Lex. Me and Susie were always thinking it's amazing that 1 minute 26 is incredibly fast. And yesterday we had the quickest attack. I think it might have been 64 seconds in a professional match here with so much on the line. We saw some really risky ones as well because Darkstar did a fantastic attack. It was extremely fast. I think it was 1 minute 9 seconds. However, the pressure of deploying everything in one go, not having that much for recovery, did end up to some really unfortunate circumstances, leaving the town hall up.
Yeah, I remember seeing that attack in the town hall staying up, and I was like so confused. I had to do a double take at first because I was not expecting stamina to have a 1-star like that. They're the only team playing this weekend that have a golden ticket already, and for them to drop to the lower bracket so early was just, it threw me off. But it leaves the door open for these other teams to jump in there and win themselves a silver ticket.
Yeah, that's for sure. They're definitely one of the teams to look out for today. If you are unaware of who Stamina are, they are playing under a new name. You might know them as VM Legacy. So they are some very consistent, very solid players. They've been around in the scene for a very long time. Same as these two teams here. We've had Team Queso and Cosmos in the scene for quite some time, but they're still fighting for that silver ticket.
Warman coming in with the next attack. I see another giant arrow. It's becoming so common in the meta over the last several weeks, if not the last couple months now. And we're seeing probably more than half the attacks in these pro matches using giant arrows, and Warman uses it right through the middle of the base in combination with an earthquake to snipe one of those poison towers, get it out of the way nice and early. Then the Root Riders from the northeast side, and interesting to see the Rage Gem instead of the Healing Tome. I've always thought that the Healing Tome was kind of more efficient, but I think the Rage Gem might help a little bit with speed.
Yeah, that's true. Doing a lot more damage at the same time was quite nice to get these defenses down. Will help pick up some seconds there on the average attack duration. Now, I like that he actually used that Warden ability to help push a little bit through that left-hand side. The King is still continuing through. He's trying to get through these walls, though, in towards that Town Hall. The Monolith at the moment is not doing too much damage to the Root Riders pathing from that left-hand side. Warman does still have a freeze coming through, getting the Town Hall and this Multi-Inferno in the same freeze as everything pushes towards the south-hand side, and we just surpassed the
Wow.
60-second mark, and there's only 5 buildings still left.
71, 72 seconds. Jeez, so fast from Warman. I think that Rage Gem does really play a factor on the speed. If you're sure that you don't need the Healing Tome to keep your units alive, that Rage Gem makes everything just a little bit quicker. They're getting through every single defense even faster. It's basically negating the last nerf that Root Riders had to their DPS, allowing them to do all that extra damage. So impressive stuff from Warman right away. I mean, we didn't even get a chance to talk about everything because the attack was over just like that. 72 seconds, nice triple for them, giving them already a little bit of a time advantage there and putting the pressure right back on Team Queso.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be very good for Cosmo Esports going into the next round of attacks. They've got a good headspace knowing that they actually took the lead on time. But let's hope that these speedy attacks don't cause any mishaps on the way. Now, as you mentioned, the Rage Gem, we saw quite a lot of Rage Gems yesterday. And I feel like we are transitioning a little bit away from the double book ability that we've been seeing on the Warden, which is the Healing Tome and the Eternal Tome. And I think the main thing for that is we're bringing so many more druids in play because the heals from the druids are pretty valuable.
Yes, indeed, those druids being able to heal up and unlike healers, they can't just die right away to Seeking Air Mines. So the druid's starting to become a staple part of the meta. If you can find a good way to just use a couple of them without letting them get targeted early, they're going to work out quite nicely. We can see Santiago coming in next, and he's one of the players for this team that has an absolute perfect hit rate and consistently getting his attacks done in under 90 seconds, or at least his average is. And so we'll see what he'll be able to do against one of these bases. I'm interested to see if we get any sort of fun attacks in this match, not just, different combinations of dragons and root riders. I have a feeling at least a couple of these players are going to give us something interesting to watch.
Yeah, yesterday we actually did see quite a few combinations. I mean, we saw a big portion of Root Riders, a big portion of Dragons. These are the two main strategies that these players love to use within the current meta. But there was still some changes here and there, different equipment that we saw pretty much throughout the entire day. We saw the Vamp Stash, the Earthquake Boots. So I'm waiting to see if we actually get a few changes here and there in what these players are preferring to use.
Yes, it'll be nice to see indeed. But even if we are still just seeing similar attacks over and over again, sometimes just the way they deploy them, the way they can identify certain areas of the base that the spiky ball or the giant arrow can take out, always fun to know. Again, we're seeing a giant arrow on this one. Again, we're seeing a rage gem. This time an early jump spell for the king. And take a look at that. The giant arrow just being utilized for all the trash buildings on the left side of the base.
Yeah, they cleared it out pretty nicely. The jump for the king will go directly in towards that scatter shot. Now he's taking a lot of damage from the enemy queen. Will have to go to revive already, so I'm not 100% sure how much value that he actually will get in this compartment since his time was limited. Now the Root Riders, they path through pretty nicely already. Now there's a rage spell tower going off there, buffing some of those multi-arch towers and the monolith, so he uses that Warden Eternal Tome to protect everything as they power through the core.
Overgrowth for the Town Hall and both Ricochet Cannons, negating all that damage for now so we can take care of everything else first. This is a risky play, like some of the attacks we saw yesterday, but if you have enough firepower going through the base after the overgrowth expires, this is actually a more ideal or efficient way to handle the damage because he doesn't have to worry about the rage tower. He doesn't have to worry about either ricochet cannon. There's much less damage on his units right now, which is why when the overgrowth expires, he's got so many troops alive. He still has a couple spells left over: a rage, a freeze, super minions on the left that came out of his siege barracks, and this base is crushed just like that. Another clean attack from Team Queso, extending their triple streak and sending it right back over to Cosmo Esports to see if they can answer.
Yeah, both teams are doing fantastic already, keeping their cool. Their heads are in the game. They are focused. They're locked in. These triples are coming in hot, and they're pretty good ones too. They're not being that close. We had a few close ones yesterday, but it just goes to show the overgrowth is fantastic because you can go towards all those defenses first before you get to the town hall, eliminating so much damage that you have to power through with your army, but it also can be risky. But it goes to show that it is a very good strategy to use.
Yeah, very good indeed. It's basically like an upgraded version of the free spell because you're just getting to negate the damage of whatever defense you want. It's just part of me wishes that so many players wouldn't use it on the town hall because it's so scary. I just feel like you're really risking the 1 star, but they love doing it. So I guess it's good for us. Gives us some extra entertainment value.
Yeah, it definitely does bring the adrenaline up. It is a bit scary, but good thing is they don't end up like my war attacks, but you know, I might just say.
All right, duly noted. I might not be recruiting Coco for my clan wars. We'll have to see what Cosmo Esports are able to come up with for their next attack. They already have the time advantage. Their first attack, so far, the quickest one of the match. We'll see if they'll be able to hang on to that lead, or if there's going to be something on one of these bases that kind of slows them down and brings us back to an even playing field. We'll just have to wait and see. But what sort of attacks are you predicting from Cosmo coming up?
I think they've been changing it up a bit. They do. I feel like they do like dragons though, but I think they are quite versatile. I think that if they feel like a base does look better for the ground strategies and that they want to use those root riders, I think that they can quite easily adapt between the two if they want to.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be fun to see. I hope we get to see some dragons, some air attacks in general. I don't know why. I just love seeing the air attacks. Part of me really wants to see some queen charges, but just because of the time factor, I don't think we're going to see many queen charges, at least not until after there's going to be some sort of defense. And then all of a sudden, players can slow down, stop worrying about time. You never know when that's going to happen. But here we go. Cosmo Esports next attack, another Root Rider combo. And as you mentioned before, the Druids becoming more and more popular. Some of these players bring in less and less Root Riders, less reliant on them. Only 4 on this attack, and a bunch of Druids just to keep them alive. This time we're seeing the King and Queen being utilized together instead of on opposite sides of the base.
Yeah, they're going directly in towards that 12 o'clock compartment, getting that single Inferno down, and then leading through towards this multi-Inferno from the jump spell that Javi used. In the meanwhile, we actually have joined forces for the most part. The Root Riders are now following these heroes towards this left-hand side. I think we did have the Valkyries with one of those Root Riders path off towards that right-hand side, and the World Champion is in the mix there too, so they actually clear out pretty nicely on that right wing.
No overgrowth spell for this attack. He's just going for pure power, pure speed, just brute force his way through every single defense without having to overgrowth anything. The World Champion has been cleaning up the entire right side of the base. The King did eventually go down. The Warden ability was delayed for a while on purpose, but it's working out just fine for him here. The Royal Champion on the bottom is getting through everything, and look how excited he is, pumping his fists over there. That's going to be another 3-star and a relatively quick one as well. I think about 78 seconds if my math was mathing, but either way, I think they're going to be able to maintain their lead. Their average only went up to 115, so very impressive. They still have quite a lead on time.
Yeah, they're doing really good at the moment. It's still pretty close between the average time, but Cosmo definitely have the edge at the moment. 115 to 126, 6 stars each. So it still could go either way, but we'll just see if they keep bringing in these triples. We're definitely going to have to keep an eye out on that time.
Yes, indeed. Overall, great stuff. Again, another powerful Root Rider attack. The Rage Gem, like you said, even since yesterday, it's becoming more and more popular. I mean, even more popular than the Healing Tome right now, it looks like, and very interesting to see how this meta has been pretty much the same for several months. But even with that being the case, it slowly adapts over time. Like after every few weeks, the pros start to shift towards using one thing different and then another thing different and then another thing different. It's almost like they don't figure it all out right away. It takes several weeks, takes, base building meta to catch up, and then the offensive meta starts to shift towards another thing. It's very interesting to watch how this game evolves in between every single update.
Yeah, they're all like learning from each other as like one person tries something new and is successful on that particular base or in that particular way that he decided to use it. And then people are like, oh, actually, wait, let me do this instead. And I love how everybody's just kind of coming together. And over the months and weeks, as you said, everything is still changing and all gelling very, very nicely together. And this is why that we had 3 minute attacks and now it's going down to these really, really fast attacks because these players, they're just so good. They figured out how to get these triples done and they figured out how to do it very fast as well.
Indeed. Here we get to see Marcelo, who has an average attack time of 1 minute and 38 seconds. We'll see what he's able to do in this attack. He's got to try to speed things up for his team. I mean, they're not incredibly far behind right now, but they do need a quick attack to make things just a little bit closer. And we'll see if Marcelo is able to give that to them or if it's going to be right around his average. We'll see what he comes in with. Not sure what his favorite attacks are. I hope we get to see some fireball stuff, though. That's what I'm really looking forward to today. Not sure if that's going to be common amongst these players, though.
Well, I'm hoping that they're not too scared to use the fireball because yesterday we did have, I think, more fails with the fireball than successful triples. But if it goes well, it is absolutely valuable. It is crazy to see when a fireball works well. But this one, we have Marcelo bringing in the Root Riders again. King and the Queen are setting up the funnel. Now, I think there is a skeleton spell to distract the single Inferno because the Queen's heading directly for it.
Yeah, and it also pulled that poison tower, so a double purpose skeleton spell. Nicely done there from Marcelo. I just love his hat, by the way. It makes me crack up every single time. He's popping that queen ability with the healer puppet and the invis vial that gets her through the single target inferno tower, and she even two shots the enemy queen, so nice use of the archer queen ability on the upper side of the base there. In the meantime, he's got the siege barracks and the royal champion coming in from the bottom side of the base with a rage spell. That royal champion cleared a good chunk of the base, still has her ability intact, and the spirit fox allowing her to go invisible from time to time again. There's the overgrowth on the right, always the risky play, but this is looking quite powerful as he gets into the back into the base.
Yeah, we will have to wait for the overgrowth to free up the town hall, but look how much he still has of his army. There's so much still remaining. The heroes, we still, I think, even have some of the druids that were still standing at the end. He did freeze at the very end. We're gonna go through the Giga Poison, but there's still so much left in these heroes to get these final few defenses down, and we get it done in just about 90 seconds yet again.
Nicely done from Marcelo. Good, solid attack. Again, the four Root Riders in combo with a few Druids. It is becoming a staple in this meta. We're seeing it so much, especially this morning right now, and it is working for them. That keeps their average attack duration right at 1 minute 26. It did not change at all because that attack, I believe, was about 1 minute 28. And so pressure's on Cosmo Esports, I guess, if you can call it that. I mean, they do still have to triple, of course, but they gotta keep their time low, and if they do, they're going to be looking pretty good.
I mean, that's consistency for you. The average didn't even change between the Team Queso attacks is is pretty consistent to me. But yeah, Cosmo, knowing that they're still bringing in these triples around the same time as well means that Cosmo also have to keep up the pace that they have already set. One slow attack could easily give the lead over in time over to Team Queso, or if the pressure's too much, a defense could be crazy coming up at this stage.
That would be devastating, especially here in the lower bracket. One fail might be all it takes for one team to go home here at this stage of the tournament. These teams so consistent in this meta. It's quite common for us to see 15 stars. So a lot of these teams crossing their fingers, hoping for a defense. The other teams that are on offense really crossing their fingers, hoping that that does not happen. But we'll just have to wait and see because only time will tell. Hopefully, we get to see some fun equipments coming out in some of these other attacks. What did you think about that magic mirror? I think it was in the first attack of the match. You think we're going to see a whole lot of that today?
We did see the magic mirror being used a few times yesterday, actually. Now, I feel like it's still very early to see where's the best way to use it. It can be really nice to get some funneling down really quickly because obviously those clones from that new ability will help get some extra damage down, but also help keep the queen alive a little bit longer. I can't wait to see how it evolves over the next few months and see what the players figure out is the best use. Now, Doyer's up next. Now, Doyer actually, I think, has the record, if I'm correct, for the quickest attack of the tournament over this weekend. Now, he's got the queen on the right-hand side. King's jumping through already, and we've already got all of these troops plowing through those defenses from the 12 o'clock compartment.
I think the queen was supposed to stay on the outside on the right-hand side of the base. The king, the jump spell was meant only for the king, and then the healers transition off the queen, go to the king, so already looking a little bit messy there, but the queen joining forces behind the Root Riders might not end up being the worst thing ever. She's very healthy, and nothing's really shooting her. These Root Riders doing a great job at distracting for her.
Yeah, I love how he actually brought the Frosty with the queen because he didn't have the frozen arrow, so it kind of equals it out, meaning she's taking less damage, which is why she could stay alive for so long. And as well, she's got all of these troops in front, and look, you can see him cheering. He gets it done, and it's really quick as well. We're just about to approach the 1 minute 15 second. Cosmo Esports, they've definitely kept up with their pace.
Indeed, he was super excited there, and this strategy is just destroying bases left and right. And it is indeed fun to see how the pros have shifted to using that Frosty on the Archer Queen whenever they have a healer puppet. I have been seeing it a lot over the last month or two. They just feel like they don't need the unicorn anymore. The unicorn just not serving its purpose that it used to because of the healer puppet. They feel more confident just having that Frosty acting kind of like a frozen arrow, just like you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, the frozen arrow was my favorite ability when it came out. I was investing so much of my ores into it, and these pro players are making me question if that's actually the best value because it works so well with the Frosty at the moment because you can still get the arrow to snipe off you can snipe off pretty much anything if you have the math and the calculations to take anything down. The sweepers, you could get the spell towers down. You can go for something more hefty. You could get a monolith down if you wanted to with enough spells. But keeping that queen alive, we've got the healers, and then you've got the Frosty to slow down the amount of damage. It's very nice.
Yeah, that giant arrow, always so fun to see. These pros have seemed to master it pretty quickly. Some of us might need to bust out our protractors and remember some of our geometry formulas in order to actually hit the buildings we want to. And then even when we try that, it just barely misses the defense on the other side of the base that we actually wanted.
Yeah, it is very specific, but if you've mastered it, as you can see, you can snipe off a lot of defenses that can help you out very nicely. I love how we also transitioned. It seemed to be very popular specifically to get the sweepers down, but it feels like we've made a transition to actually use it even on the ground attacks.
Yes, it seems to be common on almost any attack right now that where you're going for speed. Just use it, do some instant damage right away, get some defenses or just some normal trash buildings out of the way. That's going to help with the pathing of the attack. It seems to be one of the most, if not the most common Archer Queen equipment at the moment. That's interesting to see because I think at the beginning of this meta, when Town Hall 16 was kind of early, or when the equipments were kind of new, a lot of people were saying that the giant arrow didn't seem to be all that useful. But time and time has gone by, and now it seems like everybody's using it.
Yeah, it really is. It is one of the favorite abilities that we keep seeing over and over again in all of these attacks. And it does. I love how, again, looking back a few weeks even, we didn't see it on those ground attacks as often. I mean, same goes now. The rage gem on the warden is being utilized much more than we did see, especially prior to when the druids were in play.
Yep, here we go with another 3 druids, 4 root riders, 17 super barbs, and all the same equipments that we've been seeing all morning long. The giant arrow being utilized for the trash buildings on the outside, and that's just to help with the pathing. We want to make sure we know exactly where these root riders are going to go, exactly where the queen's going to go. The Frosty in combo with the queen yet again, and the root riders in from the right, and the royal champion being utilized by herself. Starting to see that a lot today.
Yeah, and we are getting to know a few of those trends here. Now on the left-hand side, he did have to utilize a freeze here because the king got deployed, but the single inferno didn't get distracted by those skeletons from his skeleton spell. So that's just one extra spell that he had to invest. The king does manage to take it down before stepping forwards and is about to do some damage on that town hall.
Giant Gauntlet trying to carry the king through that Town Hall. He's got the Phoenix ability as well, so the Town Hall should be safe. Couple freezes on the back end. He had the Siege Barracks working on the bottom side of the base. I mean, this looks crushed to me, but he almost looks like he's panicking. Is he just worried about time? I'm not sure, but he's not doing too bad on time unless he missed a building on the other side of the map.
No, there's 2 buildings left. Oh, that's why he's not happy. There's a wizard tower and a storage still remaining. Oh, it was so incredibly fast as well. It was just over the 60-second mark, and this is going to be tough for them. It might be pulling their average down a little bit on this one.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was stressing out about. He had a good plan for that base. Man, it was crushed. But just that one little wizard tower, gold storage, everybody else just snuck right around it. And oh, that was just stressing him out. Probably cost him an extra 15-ish seconds. And yet again, their average did not move a single number after that attack. That is funny to see.
It was slower, but it didn't pull it down. It was close enough to keep the average the same. That is actually incredible. But yeah, it would have been huge if he managed to get that around that 60-second mark, or not far after the 60 seconds, 60 to 70, because that would have been very valuable in terms of pulling their average down. Because as you can see, Team Queso are going into the final round of attacks now with the maximum stars and percentage possible, which means if Cosmo do the same, we will have to keep an eye out on the time. Time will be the third decider of who will be taking the win after the match.
Right now, all the momentum, at least in terms of time, on Cosmo Esports side. They just got to keep up with what their first 3 attackers have been doing. Pressure's on these last 2 attackers from Cosmo. I mean, if they can keep their attacks down under a minute 20, it should be smooth sailing for them. But it's not easy getting your attacks under a minute 20. I don't know how some of these pros are doing it so consistently, because even when I try, I mean, it feels like just a little slip up here, a little slip up there. You might still have enough power to triple the base, but it slows me down a ton. So I don't know how these guys consistently, time and time again, make sure that everything is just so fast, including the cleanup.
Yeah, 100%. Just bringing in an extra few minions or few archers could honestly save so much in these scenarios. Like, if he managed to have that wizard tower down, all he could do is send in some cleanup for the storage up top whilst everything's going towards the town hall. But yeah, I'm very happy that I don't have to worry about that in my war attacks. Time is not the decider there. But these players, they make it look so easy as they go through these bases in just over a minute.
Yes, indeed. And I'm also happy that I don't have to be planning these stressful attacks. I get to just sit back and watch and talk about them. Because I don't know how these guys aren't having their hairs turn gray when they're having to figure out how to triple a base in under a minute 20, or else their team might be in trouble. We're seeing another giant arrow here from Danny the King, sniping a few buildings. I think we saw he's got a spiky ball equipped as well. That might be a little bit of fun later on.
Yeah, that might be. Now we've got the dragons going directly into this right-hand side. A few loons testing for any potential traps. The dragons going directly in towards the tornado trap here, and the blimp is approaching it too. It actually will get caught in it ever so slightly, but still makes its way towards that town hall. Now he just grabs the blimp in that warden ability. I thought it was getting a little bit close there. The clones coming
Ooh.
through, the loons are spawning, and they are going all across the center of this space, all the way even towards the scatter shot to clear that off of Santiago's base.
One clone, two clone, three clones is a lot of balloons, and they actually got some pretty decent value. I'm always worried with these clone spells that, as soon as the balloons get cloned, they're going to end up just hitting a bunch of traps and dying right away, only getting one or two buildings. But those actually got pretty decent value. The Archer Queen did get sniped early by a single target Inferno Tower, unfortunately. So this is starting to slow down quite a bit. This could actually be devastating for their time. He still has a Royal Champion. He still has three spells to use, but he's trying to wait until the dragons get closer to some of these key defenses so they can distract and the Royal Champion won't have to worry too much. That's exactly what he did. But even when doing that, the Royal Champion gets distracted by Ice Golem and she's frozen.
Yeah, she's stuck down there. She does finally push through. Now these freezes coming in to help that World Champion get this monolith down. The Fox is also still here, which will be able to make her invisible. There's the invisibility spell. The hogs are spawning. There are a few giant bombs in here doing some damage to those hogs. Going for this multi-inferno. We are approaching the 1 minute mark on this one, so this is definitely going to be pulling their average down, but it is the triple that Cosmo needed to keep those stars even.
Yes, they're gonna get it. Two dragons left over. The Royal Champion staying alive at just 5 HP or so, thanks to that Spirit Fox. But wow, the time. That's all it took. One or two little missteps there, and all of a sudden, what could have been a 70 or 80-second attack turns into a 2 minute and 10-second attack. And look at the averages. Oh, how the turns have tabled. Team Queso, whose average has not changed at all since the beginning, are now 4 seconds in the lead as we go into the final round of attacks.
Oh, it's getting spicy, that's for sure. Now, statistically speaking, though, I crunched the numbers behind the scenes again. Now, Team Queso, their troublesome attack in the past has been the final attack. This is where the most slip-ups have happened. Is it the pressure of going last, of knowing that there is a number to beat, or are strategies being changed up in the last attack? I don't know what the exact scenarios were. However, this is statistically speaking the attack that causes them the most trouble. Let's see if they can power through that and take the victory on this one, or if Team Cosmo will be able to make a comeback in the very last round.
Yeah, very interesting to see that statistic from Team Queso. I do have a lot of experience going last in some of these 5v5 matches, playing on teams in the past, but I never had to worry about the exact time duration. Usually it was just trying to beat a percentage or triple. But here we go, the final attack for Team Queso, and we are seeing another magic mirror, and he's already got it max level.
Yeah, we got that jump already placed for those heroes. They can go directly in towards these major defenses. Now the Electro Dragon cleared out the funnel. We've got the Siege Barrack down south as well for the funneling. And his Root Riders are going directly in towards the Eagle Artillery. I do love to see the Eagle Artillery go down nice and early, because that does some hefty damage if left up, especially when these Root Riders are nice and tight and compact going through the base.
The king looked like he was going to walk the wrong way for a while there, but he eventually turns back around, comes inside. Spiky Ball doing some good damage to defense after defense after defense in the core. The Overgrowth just utilized on the Town Hall on both Ricochet cannons. Let's negate all that damage for a while. He used the Magic Mirror on the Queen. I think the main Queen is dead, and he's just got the two Clone Queens alive, wrapping around the outer edges of the base. But look at all those units on the right side, powering through with the final Rage spell. So many Root Riders, the Druids turning into bears. Even a Siege Barrack, P.E.K.K.A. has worked his way, or her way, all the way through the base.
Yeah, there's quite a lot still remaining. Only the Town Hall and the two Ricochet cannons left to go down. He's swagging the freeze. He has some cleanup troops. The Royal Champion ability was not even needed. The final attack from Team Queso puts them at 15 stars, which means Cosmo Esports will have to triple as well. Now, is it actually 1 minute 26, or is it stuck?
Yes. No, I have to say it because it's hilarious. Their average has been 126 this whole time. In the final attack, was exactly 126. It wasn't even like one or two off where the average still stays there. It was exactly 126. That is hilarious. This team has been consistent with all five attacks so far in their first matchup here today, and we'll see if they'll be moving on. That's everything they can do. Now it's up to Cosmo Esports. Only one attacker left in this match. I don't know the exact time he needs to hit to bring his team's average down by 5 seconds. I guess we could just try to math it out. 5 times 5 is about 25. So he's going to need like a 61-second-ish attack. That's give or take a few seconds, depending on what the exact times are, because these are just averages. But we're going to need to see a super quick attack.
Yeah, I mean, we did see a few 60 seconds attack. Now, is it possible that Cosmo can step up and bring one of those to the table? We'll have to wait and see. The pressure is definitely on, especially being the final attacker, knowing that this is a knockout match. If they don't get it done, they're going home.
Indeed. And I think this is one of those situations where, just the good old classic powerful set up the root rider spam, smash through the middle of the base might not work here. I mean, those attacks seem to be reliable for a 75, 80, 90-second 3-star, but when he has to go for 61 seconds, I feel like he might need to switch to one of those attacks where we're seeing units being dropped from every single angle all over the base, get everything down in the first 10 seconds, and then rely on some good spells, some good royal champion pathing in order to get this done quick enough.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough position to be in. I'm happy that it's not me, because I wouldn't be able to get it done. 60 seconds is crazy. I can't even believe that this is what it comes down to. We have Bunch. I think this was the MVP of Cosmo, if I'm correct, coming in with the final attack. He's gone perfect so far. Now, I think he had a little bit of a slip up yesterday. I think he had an attack which was a little bit slower. So let's see if that pressure does get to him today. His average attacks were at 1 minute 30. Now, he's bringing in 23 Valkyries, and I even see some super wizards in here.
Yeah, it's not in a blimp either, just good old-fashioned super wizards in the army. We're seeing the giant arrow there from the queen going left. I'm not sure what defenses it sniped there, but obviously he had a plan for that. Sending in mass Valkyries with the Grand Warden, with some Druids, with the Siege Barracks P.E.K.K.A.s going in there, and this is going to be a fun little combo. Lots of giant bombs there. Ooh, I think he lost a lot of Valkyries from those giant bombs. Look how many giant bombs were in that compartment.
Yeah, that compartment looked like it was very baited, especially with all of these troops. They're quite squishy. They take quite a lot of damage very easily. Now, the Super Wizards, they are still up. We can see them following through. We're at the 45-second mark, and already like 75% of the base is already gone. He's still keeping the rage and the freeze for once that town hall resurfaces. The king is clearing up around the outside whilst the royal champion goes towards that enemy king. We're at the 60-second mark. It's gonna take time because that town hall's not up. There's the rage. The freeze is coming in here too. Oh, I don't know if he has time.
I don't think so. It's slowing down here at the end. We'll have to confirm with the averages, but just by looking at his reaction, I don't think he thinks he has it. No, I think he just
Oh
pulled up the
no.
average. They might be slightly behind, and it looks like indeed it is going to be Team Queso advancing to the lower bracket round 3 and knocking out Cosmo Esports based on time.
Yeah, they played very consistently all the way through until the very end, got those triples down, and they didn't have the lead on time in the beginning. They managed to recover with some quick attacks and keeping that consistency where it is, and got some slower attacks on defense there. As you can see, they're all so close on time. 3 out of the 5 players with a 1 minute 26 attack.